When someone mentions soft life, most of the time we equate it to money and luxury, which that is part, but truly soft life begins with self-love first, working through trauma and exploring the real joy of life. It's a life free of stress and full of purpose. My name is Miracle. I'm a business owner and educator. My guest and I would like to let you in on some soft life secrets. Welcome to today's episode. I have Horace McClarin III here, podcast host, author, and stroke survivor. Welcome, Horace. How are you doing today?
I am super, super great.
I am so happy you decided to come on the show. Basically what we're going to talk about today, the mental health and, how you bounce back from everything that you've been through. A lot of men tend to shy away from it. And I want you to tell your story before we dive in.
Okay. December 17th, 2019. Woke up one morning ready to go to work. Had a terrible headache. Go downstairs and I said I'm gonna put my bag down and go back upstairs and take a nap and it'll sleep it off. Go back upstairs to lay down to take a nap. Next thing you know, family members coming into the house. Cousin, auntie, best friend, they all come to the house. And I'm like, what are y'all doing here? And when I woke up jumping like, okay, I got to get ready to go to work. I'm late. And they said to me, you won't be going to work today. It's 4 o'clock in the day. And I said, what? 4 o'clock in the daytime. So I had slept from about 7 o'clock to 4 o'clock that day.
Wow. So how did, a stroke, and you slept through it?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was I slept through the stroke or had it while I was sleeping, but it was determined it was a stroke.
Oh my God. How at that point when you realized that it was a stroke, what was going through your mind?
Well, my best friend, she's a nurse, and she diagnosed me immediately and was like, we got to get him to the ER. I think he's having a stroke. And we rushed to the ER and they confirmed that it was confirmed I had a blood clot in my brain.
What?
Yes.
A blood clot in the brain?
Blood clot in the brain. And it was so big that they said they couldn't do operation.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. So where are you at today? Like, is the blood clot there? Is it gone?
We prayed. Look, I got a praying family. And my sister-in-law, thank God for her. She's an ordained minister and all this. She went to praying when the doctor told her that. She went into prayer mode and she said, well, what are we supposed to do? The doctor said we can give him some pills and hope that it dissolves. She said, but there's a chance that it can burst. The doctor said, well, yeah, there is a chance, but that's the only option we have right now. My sister-in-law went into prayer mode, crying. You know how y'all sisters are. Y'all cry about anything. She made a phone call to my director at work.
Okay.
My director at work got on the phone. My sister-in-law repeated what the doctor said. And my director said, give me 5 minutes, I'll call you back. Boy, the power of resources. She called her back in 5 minutes and said, y'all can pack up and go home. Everything has been handled. My sister-in-law said, well, hold on, what? And the director said, listen, I've handled everything. Pack up and go home, have a peaceful night. He's gonna be okay. Little did I know, she had made a call to one of the doctors that she knew that could do the operation, but the operation had to go through my groin to do it instead of my head. So the doctor came back out and said, we have scheduled emergency surgery for Mr. McClarin in the morning at 7 o'clock. And my sister-in-law said, praise God. And I'm listening to all this and I'm like, now I'm finna have surgery, so now I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm just like, I don't know what to do, I'm frantic. I'm like, I've never had surgery before. You know how they say when you go into the hospital, you may not make it back out. So at that particular point, successful surgery happened. It went through my groin. And the nurse came back down after the recovery and said to me that you must have been one of God's favorite kids. Because out of 26 years, I've never seen somebody survive a blood clot this big, you know, successfully.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so Horace, what was the turning point when you realized you needed help as far as mental? Because I know you went through some mental, we talked about you had some mental health issues.
Right.
What was the turning point when you realized you needed help with mental stress?
Well, after I left rehab, my doctor insisted that I get a therapist. My best friend told me, she asked me one day, so what's going on? What did the doctor say? Man, he said I need a therapist. So she said, what you gonna do? I was like, I think I'm good. She said, well, you do remember the night that you was crying and you said, God, if you can get me through this, I'm gonna follow your lead with no questions asked. She said, I'm not saying anything, but I'm gonna just leave that right there. I went to sleep the day before I left rehab. The day before I left rehab, I went to sleep and I thought about it. I woke up refreshed and I said, God, I'm with you. I'm gonna follow your lead. I'm not asking no questions. So I said, I'm gonna find me a therapist.
How did you find your therapist? Being a African-American man, like you said, from Bankhead.
Right.
How did you find your therapist?
Well, I'm an awesome researcher.
Okay.
So I went online I wanted to take the responsibility and find my own therapist because they gave me a list of therapists to use. But I said I wanted to find my own therapist. So I researched and they say the best way to find a therapist the best way to pick one is to choose a therapist that is out of your culture. And that way they're not familiar with certain things and you're forcing them to listen to your story.
Interesting.
So when I researched that, I went online and in my mind I said, no African American male, no African American female.
Okay.
And I went online and found someone that was in Roanoke, Virginia.
Okay.
And I said, I read her profile and at the bottom it said, spiritual leader.
Okay.
The gut feeling in my stomach was like, that's the one.
Okay.
We talked, she made an appointment, I did a consult, about 15 minutes, and on and off we went.
So that answers my next question, because I was going to ask you, how did you find the right therapist and the type of therapy that you needed? So that was right on point. But what's the one secret that has led to your soft life right now that has helped you maintain your peace and your mental well-being?
I would just sum it up by saying, get into my rightful birthplace. Getting back to my rightful birthplace, which means that this spiritual journey that my therapist helped me get on, I had to go through the tunnel of fire.
The tunnel of fire.
Yes.
Explain that.
Well, when you go through when you try to get back to your rightful birthplace, you have to get back to God. You have to get back to God. You was born, you were created by God. And sometimes we get thrown off and start going with the flow of life and going with the flow of everything else. So when you can get mixed up into that, but you have to get back to where you was born. And that tunnel of fire is what I had to go through, which was the stroke. And once I get through the tunnel of fire, I had to sit in a chair. And that chair that I had to sit in was my therapist to remind me of everything that I wanted that didn't go right and everything that I needed if I would have chose to walk with God.
Okay.
So once I sat in that chair, it was the pile of regret that makes you choose to walk with God.
That's
So that has been my soft life. Forcing you to be vulnerable, forcing you to be transparent,
Right.
and forcing you to make a choice and go against the flow of life.
Tell me this. Well, what would you tell guys who shun away from therapy? Like a lot of black men in particular, they don't believe in therapy. And I don't know why. I don't know if they don't think it's cool, it's macho, or, what would you tell these, and not just black guys in general, what would you tell them like about therapy and why they should seek it?
Drop the ego.
Drop the ego.
Drop the ego. Because the ego is there to satisfy what you want. Therapy, in choosing to walk through that fire and find your birthplace, will give you what you need.
That's powerful.
Yeah, so.
Ego will give you what you want.
Yeah, ego go give you what you want. And what you want all the time is not necessarily good for you.
And therapy give you what you need.
Yeah. Therapy, for me, therapy has given me the opportunity to be soft enough and transparent and vulnerable enough to find that birthplace.
Right.
So you have to drop the ego. Just like a kid, you always say, "Well, man, I want this, I want this, I want that." But when you think back, if you be still and just trust, somehow, some way, God brought what you needed, gave you what you needed.
Okay. What are some small but effective self-care routines that you can make a big difference in maintaining your mental health, or that someone can do to maintain their mental health?
Build your routine around spiritual things.
Okay.
Build your routine around your environment that suits your need, not suits your wants. Self-care, taking care of yourself, eat better, pray and meditate.
What do you do for self-care? What are some of your self-care routines?
Meditate every day.
Okay.
Read books, stay inspired, and more than anything, I try to serve.
Okay.
If there's some way that I can help someone, I'll put out a quote. I will go through a phone and just pick somebody and cash up and, hey, lunch on me.
Oh, you hear that? That is awesome. So tell me this, before your stroke, was your faith base as strong as it is now? Because you seem very spiritual now.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I had an eye-opening experience during therapy one day. And it just took me back, and the lady said, my therapist said, I noticed you believed in God, but you didn't trust him 100%. I said, how is that possible? She said, you can believe in something and not trust it.
Okay.
And so, based on that, as I reminisce, I was like, yeah, believing in God means you believe that he was there, and when you pray, you take him to the solutions yourself. But now I'm in a position where now I understand what trusting means and having faith. Now I allow him to take me to the solution. Because he's going to take me to the solution that I need.
Okay.
I was taking him to the solution that I wanted.
Tell me this. So, are you married?
No,
Okay. A special someone in your life?
not right now.
Not right now? Okay. Are you preparing yourself?
I think what happens is once you find that particular place, you become the better version of yourself, and then you attract what you attract.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. All right. So you got this book,
Yes,
this #1 seller on Amazon.
absolutely.
Stretch Your Mind. Powerful quotes that lead to success. Tell me more. What would someone gain by getting your book?
A mindset change.
Mindset change?
Yes. We exercise, we stretch, we do aerobics, we do yoga. But we don't stretch our mind.
You don't stretch your mind. Wow.
I was fortunate enough to have people in my life to help me, to give me a whole lot of wisdom.
Okay.
So these are quotes that you probably heard before, but the way that I give it to you in this book,
Right.
it forces you to stretch your mind just a little deeper, and you're going to look at it you have a different perspective.
Okay.
It forces
I like
you to have a different perspective, which means that you got to stretch your mind to do it.
Stretch your mind. And thought of the day, y'all. Thought of the day. So you have how many quotes in here, roughly?
74.
74.
Yep.
Amazon, y'all. Go and get it. Horace, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes.
We are glad that you were able to share your experience. I don't think a lot of Black men, talk about the mental health or therapy, or and how it can help them. So I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate you coming and sharing your story with us. And I hope to, get this message out to more of our African American men, especially that therapy is okay. I've always said, before I get into a relationship, it's mandatory that they go to therapy. So if that's not an option for, some of that's going to weed out a lot of things. Because I feel like therapy is very important in my life.
Right.
And it's a routine that I do. So if we're not on the same page as far as that, there's no need of us even getting started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where I am. But thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
How can the people find you?
You can find me on social media. My book is on at hm3inspires.com. I also have a radio show, a sports talk radio show. You can find that at srtradio.com and also on YouTube.
All righty, the sports radio talk. I'm a Falcon fan, right?
Absolutely.
If you ain't talking about them dirty birds.
Yeah, we talked about them last night for sure. Because the show is on Wednesday 7 to 9. So each and every Wednesday 7 to 9, tune in to Sports Roundtable, and you can hear all of the. We'll take you around the world of sports.
Okay. There you have it, guys. This wraps up today's episode of Soft Life Secrets with Miracle Dixon. Peace.